Hi, I want to talk about kind of mathematical modeling. Uh, Say you were a mathematician and you were constructing a theory, right? And you're going around trying to collect information and data points. That's a really important concept. For example, if I wanted to plot the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere for every epoch, for the year 1950, 1951, and all the way to today, 2020, then I will make all these 2D graphs, and then if I'm plotting it against the time, then it will become a 3D kind of like volume kind of you show progression or decrease in temperature versus time, something like that. So I would just there is very known ways of making models, from calculus, from differential equations, or regular math, nothing fancy, and all you do is go and see what variables that you want to plot. Then you go find data points, for a particular time or epoch, or a third variable, and then you plot them, and then the next stage would be to make an analytical model, like from what you have, make a curve and say, hey, this curve looks like hyperbola or parabola or a straight line up. Or for example, some people make a model of the amount of money the Federal Reserve has printed, and it's going up hyperbolically. You can plot this against time, or you know what I mean. Anyhow, well, I'm not interested in this really ordinary phenomena. That you could make a nice plots and it would show, hey, this is where it's going. I'm more interested in things that are more complex, like the way like there was a technological superiority in the 1970s, 1980s, the United States had against Iran. And as time went on, the United States imposed more and more sanctions, and the Iranians uh, had to manufacture and also go out in the world and see who is not sanctioning us, who will be friends with us, who will sell us weapons, or who will sell us medicine, and it just went on. Well, these are data points. They're correlating variables that are very strange variables. They're like amounts of sanctions from the United States and Iran, amount of banking obfuscations and sanctions through the banks versus all the development that has been happening. There has been a lot of development in Iranian banking because they had to skirt the sanctions, they had to come up with new financial technologies. The same goes with military hardware, medicine. I heard that one of the Iranian generals, Hajizadeh, was saying that this development I'm going to talk about has been going on for like 30 years, maybe 40 years. And then he started saying that back then our Air Force was very weak in comparison to United States and even Iraq, and we really couldn't build our new rockets, new planes on the surface of Earth, because if we get bombed, we would have trouble protecting them. So we started building all these tunnels, underground tunnels that are everywhere now. I, I wonder if Iran has like 1,000 underground cities or tunnels, huge tunnels with manufacturing even there. So this stuff has been going on for 40 years. This is a data point, the amount of tunnels and the amount of foreign aggression. These are very strange variables. But they're kind of related. Well, I think that this going underground, has been going on in other places too. Like I think that Palestine or Gaza or parts of Palestine, they have underground cities. They have underground manufacturing. They make rockets. They make um, weapons. I've looked at some of the weapons Iran makes. They're very advanced, very strange. I was watching this video of an Iranian who was showing up a machine gun he made. This machine gun was so much lighter than anything. He was saying the weights, and it was so versatile. It could shoot almost any kind of bullet, and you could change the calibers very easily. It accept many different cartridges. It was very advanced, very versatile. And I was talking about the price and how they had been using CNC. Well, there was a lot of sanctioning, a lot of pressure, a lot of warfare, and then it ended up this, and then there is a reaction now, and then now Iran, the military is superior to many militaries. Even U.S. military the weapons are more advanced, and it's like a tide going there, and then it's coming back. But well, you could take these variables and you could make a model. This what I like to do, make predictions. That's what human brain does naturally. I think that some of the psychic phenomena is something similar. You look at things. In fact, I think that the human brain accepts information from so many sources. Some of these sources are not in the material world. They're from ghosts, they're from the divine, whatever. It kind of adds them up, comes up with a prediction. And usually many of these predictions are very accurate. And I've had the psychic predictions 2020. I could review it and tell you, hey, remember what I told you here? Did you see this compared to this event and this event and this event? Yeah, it works. Its modeling is not as exact as like modeling CO2 concentration versus temperature on the planet worldwide, but hey, it works. And well, I think that I was going in one direction in this video, but I want to kind of divert. And the United States and Israel have been imparting a lot of damages. These damages are not just financial. They've been human cost. Making wars all around Iran, making bases, making threats, and it's been going on for many, many years. They've been harassing the Iranians outside of Iran and using anybody to further their own agenda. And but there has been like a tide goes out, but there is a reaction that the world has learned what to do with these guys, what to do with all this bullying. Well, I want to look at these data points, kind of point out, hey, look, this is a data point. One of the data points is that like last month, or so, a couple of months ago, the UN denied the United States, their request to extend arms embargo ban against Iran. They just said we're not going to do it, and many countries voted against it. And then I would say that another data point would be today, the 18th, or well, 18 was a couple of days ago, October. The Iranian government came out and said, "Hey, this is over, and now that we have developed all these weapons, we are going to sell it to many countries, and also we're going to buy more advanced weapons." Like they came out and said that we're going to buy Sukhoi 30, which is very advanced plane, and we are going to negotiate to buy Sukhoi 35, which is more advanced than US. What's the plane? F-35. So, but there's also a reflection, because the U.S., when it sold weapons, it would sell. There were strings attached to these weapons. It would say, "Okay, I'm selling these weapons to Oman. Okay, but I won't give you more advanced weapons if you cannot deal with Iran." Well, Oman and Iran, they don't have hostile relations, but many of these states will adopt harsh tone with Iran because they wanted to get these weapons from the United States. Well, what happens when all the sanctions have fallen apart? The UN says there is no restrictions. So these countries, many of them in Africa, South America, Venezuela, wherever you can, even European. So I don't have to put up with the U.S. Lawmakers. I don't have to bend over for them. I just buy it from another source. And these weapons, Iranian weapons, are cheaper, and they're also much more deadly, and they are more advanced than many U.S. weapons. For example, Iran manufactures Bavar 373, which is the anti-aircraft. It's similar to system similar to S300 or S400. I think something in between those two. Well, these systems they work in tandem. But if Syria wanted to buy such a system, we could get S300. I don't know if they could get S400. They would have to pay a higher price, but they certainly could not buy Patriot weapon system, because the U.S. will not sell it to them. It will sell it to Saudi Arabia or Israel. But then when you look at these systems, Patriot system is more inferior system than even S200. It doesn't really work very well. But there is another one, high altitude thermal something. It's another system similar to S200, but it's also inferior to S300. Well, are you seeing the data points where at some point the U.S. military got too cocky, they stopped developing their weapons, and they imposed restrictions of who can have these weapons. But the weapon system, they're not going to stop just because U.S. military has stopped. They're going to develop in other countries, in Iran, in Russia, in China. They're developing. And at another data point, these systems evolved to a point where they're more advanced than Patriot missiles. They were more advanced than high altitude thermal whatever, and they are better systems, and they're cheaper, and there are no strings attached to them, either in price or in military strings or political strings. So those guys, they were in the Americans. They were left in the one end of a curve. Then the other nations they just came in and they developed. That's why it's so valuable to like do research and look at different variables and try to go out in history and pick out a very nice collection of data points. And they come out and now and make another data point. Well, we see that these systems are better and cheaper over here, no strings attached, and theirs is over here. They are in the history. This is a you cannot see a curve between these 2 points because I only got 2 data points, but I know that something is wrong, right? Just from 2 data points, but that's I'm trying to show you how valuable it is to look at the model of things and try to figure out what went wrong or what went right. Anyhow, and I think it's going to happen is that with cryptocurrencies, and many countries are publishing cryptocurrencies, you don't need the United States, you don't need their money, you don't need their manufacturing, you don't need their weapons, you don't need their politicians. Well, there is another video I had called Death by Irrelevance, but these financial instruments, they could be stocks, they could be tokens, they could be cryptocurrencies. They are out there. They're available. This technology to develop these things and use them is not that complicated. Well, there is some encryption. Well, the technology that goes into making Bitcoin is very complex. You need nice math and programming, and it's really a system that's all on its own, and you cannot really wreck it. There is some association of hackers and programmers that protect it too. But you could construct a cryptocurrency using simpler tools. It might be hackable, but then you have to come and clean it up. Most banking system transactions are very hackable, but there is constant monitoring and surveillance and constant upkeep. You could do that, but a lot less with cryptocurrencies that are not as encrypted as Bitcoin. So where does that leave United States? Where does it leave many U.S. corporations? Where does it leave their Federal Reserve when the world doesn't need these guys? And it also has a lot of very bad memories of the United States. The stuff the U.S. government has done, the stuff that their military has done, the stuff that the Zionist criminals have done and make wars in all kinds of places, or just take another example, the stuff that Israel did, came and bombed Beirut storage facilities, and it was equivalent to a nuclear bomb. Or what will happen a year or 2 years or today when many businesses, many individuals, companies, the government, the Iranian military, the Lebanese military, they really don't need anything Western. If Hezbollah or Hamas or Iran or Yemenis or Pakistanis. They're developing all these weapons underground. Who needs United States? Who needs Western countries? So there is like, I think there will be a period of ignoring them, letting them just be, exist, and then there will be a feeling of revenge. There will just go some going back and see who we can grab and recover war retribution. And then after that, then there will be another period that just the West will just be abandoned completely. It's like a building that has a lot of problems, and many investors they come in. Some women become like that too. They come in, they buy the building, they try to fix it, and it either works or most of the time it doesn't work, and then they sell it. And then the building sits around, and then there's different agencies come around, and some of them will condemn it, and then the building will lose its legal integrity and will just become an abandoned, like institution or abandoned company, and just collect dust. And then who knows, 50 years, 100 years down the road, the land becomes valuable, and somebody else comes in and raises the building and makes something else, something that's not doesn't have all these issues. You know. Well, I think my diabetes is catching up with me now. I'm becoming cotton mouth. So we'll take that up next time. All right. Thank you. Please leave comment and don't be shy.